What's good, boys? Dennis DeQuan here, back at it again. As you can see here, we've upgraded. I have an identical copy, as you can see here. I've gone professional with this shit, as you can see. We've gone for the branding and all that cool shit. You know how it is? We've gone for that. Now today is a special day for Americans and people on Route 36. It's motherfucking Thanksgiving. She may ask, what's the big deal? Look, fat, look, here's the deal. I'm not getting into that shit, because it's stupid. You probably already know. But for those who don't know, some bitch-ass motherfuckers came to the U.S. It wasn't called that yet. I don't know what it was called. But they show up, and they go, we're starving. Can you help make us food? Oh, yeah, sure. Oh, I'll do that. And then some turkeys went back in time to prevent turkeys from ever being on the Thanksgiving menu. That's right. They are going back in time to stop Thanksgiving turkey from being on the menu. It's pretty fucking crazy. So they do that, and they have fucking pizza instead. That's what they do for Thanksgiving, is they have pizza instead. That's what we do. We have pizza. We got like stuffing. I don't know why it's called stuffing, because you're not stuffing it into a turkey's asshole anymore. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a concept, I suppose. That's what that is. But that's not what we're talking about today. I have a history lesson for everybody. This history lesson, through explaining, it has cost me something terrible. And I'll get into that later. So, this is the comprehensive history of the invention of a very popular activity. What could that be, you ask? What could that be? Which one could it be? That's right, it's gay sex. So let's go back pretty far, right? I'm not talking about going far right. That's bad, obviously. I don't need to explain why. That should just be a common concept. Being alt-right is terrible. Now, we're going to go back to roughly around the time humans, primitive humans and shit were around. Roughly, let's gauge 180 million years ago. How about that? Come on, man. That's too far. No, it's not. It's not too far. Just kidding. It is too far, actually, because dinosaurs and shit were still alive and humans were not. So, oops, you got me there. It's actually like 35 million years ago. Now we got that out of the way. This was humans. Primitive humans. They had a bunch of sports. Ancient Greece wasn't invented yet, so they didn't do like the Olympics and shit, nothing like that. They had a sport known as cockfighting. Now you may ask, well, what's cockfighting? Isn't it that shit that the fucking chickens do? They have chickens fight each other. You're correct. It is what that is. However, that's what they call it now. They don't use humans anymore. So essentially what they did was you would get a male of the species. Tradespeople were not invented yet. This was something that would happen a bit later. Now, you could include this. They have their own category of cockfighting, which I support, obviously, because I'm not a bitch ass bigot motherfucker. But let's get back into it. So they you find somebody, a male of this species, yet another male of this species, with similarly sized penises, and they smack them against each other in a motion like this. Check it out. So it's like this. So they go, ugh, ugh, yeah, like that. Okay, you get what I'm saying? Now the first one to get hard loses. I know. You may be like, wouldn't it be the first one to get hard wins? Well, here's the problem. If they're gay, they're gonna win. So that's not what you want to do. Now, again, you might ask, well, how was gay sex invented after gay people were invented? I'm going to be straight up with you. I don't know. I think they just didn't know how to have sex. But they figured it out. I'm about to explain. So, in the biggest tournament for cockfighting, there were two men at the top. Right? You may ask, oh, well, who would that be? Would be none other than Grug and Gerg. Their dicks are fucking huge. They're like the Peter Steele of their time. They should be going down to their knees. Right? Well, that's pretty big. Especially considering humans around this time are like 8 feet tall. It's like at least 3 feet. Because they're built weird. Back into it. They're cockfighting. And it starts raining. So now they're cockfighting in the mud. And they get out. And they end up, they dry off. And they have to do it on a bed. Because it's starting to rise up. So the only way that they can keep cockfighting is on a bed. And what happens is Gerg loses. He gets hard. And he had just gotten hard. The other one was pretty close. He was like 85% hard. But he wasn't all the way. So he didn't win. So he didn't lose, I mean. So what happened was Gerg slips forward. So instead of, for example, I've used a ski mask. He went, whoa! And Grug slipped the other way. He went, whoa! And he flipped up. And Gerg's dick slid right into Grug's asshole. Pretty fucked up stuff. Well, that's what you think. It's actually not. So, he tries to get up again. He's not even out yet because their dicks are so fucking big. And he slides back in. What the fuck are they doing? And he just keeps slipping over and over and over again. And then Greg's like, Gerg, this feel good. Keep doing this. And so he did. She said no slip. Just so Gerg kept going. Yeah. So in this scenario, we have this guy slipping forward, this dude slipping back. So that was the other thing ancient humans were known for, was how powerful the rope shooting game was. That's something they don't tell you, but that's a very well known fact. Is how good they were at shooting ropes. Now, another thing to talk about here is, so after this, the term was now known as gay sex because Gerg was actually gay. He was the highest level of gay cockfighter in the game because he would simply imagine that his enemy was a woman and it was actually just a giant clit. That's how he would do it. But unfortunately, Grug was so conventionally attractive that it canceled out. It didn't work. And that's how it went, unfortunately, for our hero Gerg. Now, that's pretty cool. So now that they've done this, some of the gay folks, they've decided to do this act recreationally. You know, they cockfight. It doesn't matter who wins or who loses, unless, because the idea of tops and bottoms were not invented yet, obviously. They just stood up. So it was who was the front and who was the back. That's just how I see it, at least. Like, because, I've looked at, like, the paleontological paintings, like the cave paintings and shit of this. They have some on Route 36. They got some cave paintings. And you don't really see it, unfortunately. It's a damn shame. But that's just how they drew stuff back then. There's nobody like laying down as of nowadays. Where people be laying down and shit like that. You don't see that. But here's something you do see. Let's go forward. But before I do that, I must explain what they called gay dudes back then. They called them Homo erectus. And you may ask, oh, well, why would they call them that? Well, the reason they called them that is because they're homo, and homo, meaning same, means the same gender makes them erectus. So that's the idea behind it. And you may ask, well, the Homo erectus went extinct. They actually didn't. They became a different. They ended up eventually. They had bred with other gay dudes, and they had produced offspring, which I've explained before. Essentially, what happens is if you bust another man's asshole enough times, the sperm will essentially fuse together into one giant sperm, and you can pull it by the little tail. You can pull it out of their asshole, and it like jumps around and shit. And if you can put it in like a pool of water, it's almost like a tadpole. It turns into a human afterwards. But what I've seen, sometimes you do have to bash it with like a Bible or a book known as the God Delusion, shit like that. You can even bash it with a devourment molesting the decapitated CD jewel case, which I've had to do myself in my field research, because that's what I do. Now let's keep going. Let's keep it moving. So we've discussed Homo erectus. We've discussed how gay sex was invented. Now let's talk about some of the gay figures. Some of the aspects of being gay that were invented later on. So one of them is the beautiful thing known as a twink. Now you may ask, well, what's that? So essentially, they tend to have the most money. They tend to be the richest out of the gay men for a very simple reason. And that is because they have legions of pay pigs that will buy them whatever they want because they're so beautiful. I would do this, but I'm broke as hell. So I don't do that. Also, I'm not gay, not never. Another thing to get into. So they are normally rather small, petite, shit like that. No, they got like hair on their head, no facial hair, no body hair, shit like that. And the first one in recorded history is, we go to ancient Greece for this. That's what they called it back then, because modern Greece wasn't around yet. They called it ancient Greece. And there was a man by the name of Alcibiades. He was the first ever recorded twink. Now, he was weird because he was actually not gay. He was bisexual. So that's you may ask, well, why are you even bringing this dude up? Because It's conflicting statements. It's conflicting statements. I would say you could be correct here. Like you could be correct, but this was the first ever example. We did have gay sex, because at this point in Greece they had modernized gay sex. That was primarily the main form of procreation and copulation. Around that time was gay sex. If you were straight, it was really weird. You'd get beat up all the time by all the other hunk dudes. And then they'd turn you gay because you thought it was cool. You got beat up by a bunch of sexy, muscular dudes. So that's basically what we got going on here. Now, Alcibiades was a real schemer. He had a bunch of political power because he could just do whatever he wanted because of his looks. So he is a twink by that logic, because he had no body hair, he had no facial hair, and he had a ton of power because of his pay pigs. Now, this situation, his pay pigs were anybody he wanted. They could. It was even fucking Socrates and shit were out for him, because they all wanted it. They all wanted the iconic Alcibiade asshole. The Alcibiadussy, if you will. Because that's one of the other things. This man's boy pussy game was insane. But that's not what we're talking about here. Talking about how he was invented. So he was invented, well, not invented, he was born a while ago, of course. And he knew that this was what his life's calling was to be the first ever twink. He came up with the term himself. Pretty cool, right? Now, I hope that you liked this history lesson. But now, let's talk about the costs of this history lesson. I was explaining this. I was doing a lecture, actually, about this topic. And an individual who was there, they were trying to talk to me and shit, and I was, but my main priority at that time was the lecture. It wasn't about how this individual felt or anything. So I didn't know, but apparently they wanted they wanted Dennis Taquan. They were looking for the villain of Route 36. I didn't realize that. I was too busy doing my lecture to realize this. These are the sacrifices you have to make to be a historian nowadays. It wasn't like, back in the day, you could just go to college and you could build a bunch of fucking skeletons of people and put random ass bones here that aren't even the same skeleton and say that they're one. You just don't do that no more. There's sacrifices involved, like the Creed song My Sacrifice. I've had many sacrifices, but that's not about me. You know what? Fuck it, we're going to bring it up. I did not get to review the Yellow Gumball Machine. That was the worst thing that ever happened to me. I want to review the Yellow Gumball Machine. I am talking to individuals so I can get a Yellow Gumball Machine, so I can do that review to make everybody happy. But it's really the best I got. You know what I'm saying? So if you stayed this long for the history lesson, I appreciate it. Drop a like, drop a subscribe. Leave a comment. I know my comment section tends to talk a lot of shit, but go right ahead. That's just that's what we do here. My comment section does not talk a lot of shit. But I mean, you know how it is. I'm getting gains. Now, this was Dennis Taquan YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you in the next video and shit. Later, pimps.